Welcome to Denver Startup Week. I'm Tammy Dorr, President and CEO of the Downtown Denver Partnership and co-chair of Denver Startup Week. This year marks the 10-year anniversary of Denver Startup Week. DSW has been the catalyst for lots of change over the past decade. And this week, we're coming together to celebrate the past and dream big for the future. We are able to bring Denver Startup Week to this community thanks to our 2021 sponsors. Thank you to our HQ and title sponsor, Amazon, and our title sponsors whose leadership makes this week come to life. Capital One Cafe, Downtown Denver Partnership, Fluid Truck, Hotel Engine, and WeWork. And our track sponsors who have made all of the great content you're hearing today possible, our founder track sponsor, Kickstart, growth track sponsor, Friday Health Plans, developer track sponsor, Quizlet, product track sponsor, Palantir, our designer track sponsor, Battery 621, and the Public Works, people track sponsor, Exactly, and spotlight event sponsor, Strat Labs. Our headline event sponsors are bringing the excitement to the week. Thank you to B-Side Fund, Colorado Public Radio, Comcast, Coors Brewing, Denver Pavilions, Entrepreneurship at the University of Denver, JP Morgan Chase, Method, Moss Adams, Pi Insurance, Promontory Mortgage, Path, Southwest, Tattered Cover, and VF Venture Foundry. Finally, thank you to our partner and member sponsors, all listed on the screen. Please say thank you to these companies as you enjoy our hybrid Denver Startup Week. And don't forget, use the hashtag DenStartupWeek to share your experiences and moments of inspiration on social media. Have a great week.
Hello, I'm Sal Gentili, CEO of Friday Health Plans, and we're proud to sponsor the growth track this year at Denver Startup Week. We're a company that just entered a rapid growth phase, so we felt it was particularly appropriate. When my business partner and I started Friday Health Plans 5 years ago, we knew we wanted to create a company that catered to people who bought their own health insurance. The Affordable Care Act was just getting going, and we saw an opportunity to serve a brand new market of health insurance consumers. Independent consultants, startup groups, gig workers, service industry workers, designers, creators, and other independent professionals, like many of you here today. We knew that if we built a health plan that was simple to buy, easy to use, had great customer service, and most of all was affordable, we could compete against the big insurance plans who only focus on serving big companies. After spending 5 years getting into the Colorado market and completing a successful proof of concept, we successfully closed a $50 million round of growth funding earlier this year. We're now about to expand to 3 additional states later this year, hire more than 400 employees to support our growth, and eventually be in more than 10 states by 2025. I wish each of you good luck in your startup and growth pursuits. And as you think about your upcoming health insurance needs, I hope you consider fellow growing startup Friday Health Plans. Open enrollment starts November 1st. Check us out at fridayhealthplans.com.
Hello everyone, welcome to Denver Startup Week. I'm Jake Cohen, the Growth Track Chair and member of the Denver Startup Week Organizing Committee. Thank you for joining us for the 10th anniversary of Denver Startup Week. At Denver Startup Week, we strive to make all of our sessions a space where attendees can connect, learn, and grow, regardless of age, gender identity, gender expression, race, ability, or sexual orientation. A special thank you to our sponsors for their support in helping us to keep Denver Startup Week free and accessible for all. Thank you for joining us and have a great week.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our session, Myth Busting Capital and Growth, Exploring the Capital Journey of Diverse Entrepreneurs. My name is Amanda Peck, and I work in marketing and communications at B-Side Capital and B-Side Fund. This is our 7th year that our organization has been an avid supporter of Denver Startup Week. Today, our goal with this session is to elevate the voices of several entrepreneurs who've grown their businesses in different ways and can speak to some of the myths, fears, and lessons that they've learned from utilizing different sources of capital to start up and grow their businesses. So with that, I'll hand it over to our moderator, Marie, for introductions.
Hello, everybody. My name is Marie Peters. I'm the fund director at B-Side Fund, and I've been with our organization for over 9 years, and I'm deeply passionate about serving small businesses and increasing access to capital for underrepresented entrepreneurs. Our organization has been known as Colorado Lending Source for over 30 years, and we actually just recently rebranded as 2 organizations under one unifying brand. So we have B-Side Capital, which serves our lending partners by partnering with SBA lending. And then we also have B-Side Fund, which focuses on direct loans to small businesses. And both of our organizations are mission-driven nonprofit lenders. And last year, I'm proud to say our lending impact helped over 145 small businesses access $2.7 million. And we know the financial system doesn't work for everybody, which is why we believe that alternative, responsible capital can have such a positive impact on our communities. So before we dive into the panel, we'd love to learn more about who's on the call. So if you could introduce yourself in the chat with your name and what you hope to gain from this session, that will be super helpful. And by doing so, we'll enter you into a drawing for a Bluetooth speaker and a $25 gift card. So today we have an impressive group of entrepreneurs. We have Lorena Cantarovisi, owner of Maria Empanadas, Diane Miles, owner of Dope Mom Life, and Gabriel Medina, owner of U Cisco. So I'll have each panelist introduce themselves. Just repeat your name, business, and how long you've been in operation. So let's start with Diane.
Hi, Diane Miles. So how long we've been in operation and what else?
Your business name and a little bit about the business you do.
Yeah. So Dope Mom Life. We have been in business for 3 years now, and we are a creative content agency that specializes in video production, community engagement, relationship building and outreach, and ambassador marketing. So we work with organizations that have a resource, service, or opportunity that they want to offer to communities of opportunity and are having a hard time engaging them. So we help them understand how to best serve the community in a way that's culturally responsive and respectful, and then create content, video content to engage them and use ambassador marketing.
Wonderful, thank you. Lorena.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lorena Cantarovisi. I am the founder and CEO of Maria Empanada. I'm from Buenos Aires, Argentina, and Buenos Aires is very well known for the cafe style life and also for its empanadas. So that's what I wanted to bring here to Denver, to the United States, a place where you can come and connect and have a fantastic snack or espresso coffee in the middle of the morning, or maybe taking some dozen to your wife because you surprise her and she doesn't need to cook now. So all that is what Maria Empanada brings to the city. I'm happy to be here.
Thanks, Lorena. And Gabriel.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gabriel Medina. I am the founder of Yo Cisco. We are a men's apparel company. So we design, manufacture, and sell men's bamboo underwear. And we also do sustainable accessories. And we have been in business since 2013.
Wonderful, thank you. And thank you again, all of you, for being here. I know there's such a wealth of knowledge and experience that you can unlock from each of you that will benefit the audience today. So also, audience, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll have some time at the end to address those as well. All right, so let's jump right in. When did you know that you needed capital for your business, and where did you go to find it? Lorena, I'll start with you.
Well, I I want to say that I always needed money. So I always needed to have a capital. That was a company that my company started only with $4,000, and they were not even mine. So the necessity of an investment was very necessary. I wanted to grow. I did have the big vision since the beginning. So it was hard to grow a business with no capital. So, but at the same time, even that it was hard because I am in the industry, not so many people invest at that time when you are so new. I did wanted to prepare for that. So I started collecting data, putting all my paperwork together, creating manuals, things like that, that all helped me at the time that I got my investment. When I got my investment, it came with a big list of requirements that I needed to have. And a few of them are typically, as a company, the things that you need, but another kind of things are where your processes or procedures or the culture of the company, all those things that needed to be also presented to the investor. So at the time that I needed to growth, and I knew that I was having more information in my backpack, basically, then was the time that my venture capital or the capital was approached to me. And I think that was the right moment. So even that I needed from the beginning, the timing of growing and understanding how to be prepared for that, it was a good exercise. And then the capital approach to me.
Wow, thank you. What about you, Gabriel?
I want to echo what Lorena said. Obviously you're always going to need money to start up a business. Initially, I tapped into my 401k and took out a few $1,000s to get like a website going, do an initial first run of product. And then we eventually got an angel investor in 2014 that we were very lucky. It kind of just fell out of the sky, I guess, hence the name Angel Investor. And he gave us about $25,000, and that lasted us a few years. We were able to continue to produce collections and things like that. But it came to the point in 2017 where we ended up doing our largest collection ever. And the part of the problem was the manufacturer that we were using was also catering to one of our biggest competitors, who was doing very large runs. And when you're doing apparel, your minimum orders and your amounts are very, very important. And so our minimums went up with our manufacturer. So it kind of put us in a position where we had to spend the money or we just didn't get the product. And luckily we were able to the manufacturer gave us a line of credit at the time. So they produced it for us just on the good faith because we had been using them. So we were lucky to get to do that, but you sometimes can negotiate lines of credit with your manufacturers. It just depends on the manufacturer. Nowadays with COVID, it might be a little bit more difficult because manufacturing is struggling right now. But when we realized we need the money, we just started doing a lot of research. Our team is basically myself and 3 other people. So we had one person that was designated and really good at finding money and doing the research and doing the networking. So we went to PTAC, we went to the Rocky Mountain Venture Club, different organizations that kind of got you familiar with funding and things like that. We also did the Small Business Development Center, which is another good resource for people. So we had somebody researching that for us. And then we kind of, that's how we got connected with Colorado Lending, which Marie actually helped underwrite our loan for us at the time. And we're just very thankful when that loan came through, because that allowed us basically to pay for that rather large collection back in that we had produced in 2017. So.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing all of that. And Diane.
Yeah, so much like Lorena and Gabriel, like I know it takes money to make money, and so we needed money from the jump. We started off as a video production company, so obviously just needed to purchase some equipment to start the business. Thankfully, we had low overhead, so it was just needing, the need for cameras and lighting and all of that. And it wasn't until last year that I actually got additional funding to grow and scale, understanding from the beginning that I wanted this to be the size company that I wanted this to be, and where we're going and how we're growing. We knew we needed capital. I knew I needed capital then, and now we know we need even more capital to continue to keep up with demand and the growth that Dope Mom Life is having. So I too went through the Rocky Mountain Venture Club and just tried to get everyone familiar with Dope Mom Life that was in the investing circle, and we ended up getting a loan through now B-Side. So
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys for sharing that. I think what's important to point out is that all of you kind of focused on not only the debt side of things, but on the equity side as well, because those are different tools to be able to get the capital into your business to grow. So, obviously, a lot of times traditional financing through a bank or credit union, sometimes that's not an option for people as they're growing. And so, if for whatever reason that's not available, that's why mission-based alternative lenders such as us and other nonprofit organizations exist. So for the audience, Amanda's going to drop some resources in the chat in case you need that. Moving on, what has been the biggest challenge or even fear that you faced in trying to access capital? Because it can kind of be an intimidating process. And how are you able to overcome them? So Gabriel, let's start with you on that one. And you're muted.
Sorry about that. I would say our biggest fear about accessing capital is just the nature of the business that we're in. Because with apparel, it's not something that typically does get a lot of funding. It's just an industry that really doesn't. Like, you do see a lot of funding for tech startups or even restaurants and things like that. But especially being in Colorado, because the apparel industry is not like a major industry in the state of Colorado. So I know that was kind of one of the challenges that we were worried about, but luckily, we were able to turn a new leaf once we got with Colorado Lending. And we're, programs like Colorado Lending are, obviously they look at your financials and things like that, but it's also a character-based loan. And so we had the opportunity to actually go in front of their panel and explain to them who we were, what we were about, what our values were, what we believed in, just really make a testament to our character. And I do believe that that was really a big part of helping us get the loan. And that's something obviously you wouldn't be able to do at a big bank or a credit union. In a way, it was kind of like almost going on Shark Tank, because you could explain your product, but then also explain more about what you do and who you are, what your morals are, what your values are. And I don't know, I kind of feel like that helped get us over the finish line.
Well, thanks for sharing that. And Diane, what was your biggest challenge or fear, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I guess my biggest fear, just being, a Black woman. I think people of color in general are more risk adverse. So we don't want to take on capital. We don't understand how the capital will grow us. Well, not that we don't understand, but there's a fear there. And so we don't traditionally take on money to grow and scale our businesses. So our thought process is usually like small business is the category that we kind of get placed in majority of the time. And I think that was my original fear. And then I have a business coach named Makisha Booth who owns Sista Biz, and having her change the way I was thinking and going from a lack mindset to an abundance mindset, and understanding how capital works and how you can grow your business with funding, and that I didn't want to be a small business. I just don't call myself a small business now intentionally. So yeah, I think just culturally, it came from just our historical, situation in America, and then allowing myself to see the bigger picture and how my business will impact my community, our wealth, etc. That kind of erased all that fear, and I was like, well, let's take on the debt and let's grow.
That's great. That's really powerful. Thanks. And Lorena, what was your biggest challenge or fear when you were accessing capital?
Well, you know that I have a venture capital with me, a partner, and my biggest fear, and I knew that I need them because I want to grow fast, right? I mean, starting with $4,000, it will not take me, it will take a while for me to grow. So, but my concept was mine, my recipes are mine, my style of doing businesses was mine. So my biggest fear is to growth mentally, exactly in that of the losing control on things. And that was really scary for me at that point. It's something that you need to, my image of an investor was that it was coming with capital that I was needing and making changes, because at the same time, when you think in an investor, you think that they know what they are doing, so you start following. But sometimes it's not that. I mean, they come with is the partnership, right? It's the relationship. It's how you communicate. It's not just getting the money and now you execute. Is what is happening around. So my biggest fear was that it's just the concept that somebody was coming with money and probably will start making changes immediately in what I was building, and the passion and the knowledge and the all know-how was completely mine. So that was my fear, and it's something that you, if you look for capital, you need to think that is a process in the relationship, how you communicate and how you get a little bit rid of that fear of losing control.
Wonderful. And I'm going to ask a quick follow-up question on that because it is so relationship based. Were you able to find that balance with your venture capital partner?
I can respond to that?
Yeah.
I will tell you yes, absolutely. It is, once again, is not I'm assuming that the money is the easy part. What is the difficult part is building the relationship. And, but was, and it's, of course, it's a growing concept that you need to be thinking that is going to happen. Is you're going to agree to things, you're going to disagree to things, and that's okay. And you're going to make mistakes also, because another thing in my mind was that now having an investor, because we know more, we are not going to make mistakes, but we are going to be more secure. So you think at the same time that money will not let you make the mistakes. And it's not like that. You continue making mistakes. The point is how you build from that and how you grow and how you continue moving forward, right? And making things happen.
Wonderful. Thank you. And I think just to distinguish between the equity and debt, a lot of times people choose to take on debt so they can retain that control and own their business 100% and not have to share or work with a various partner. So thanks for bringing that up. We kind of touched on this earlier, which I think is great, because I think another myth that people have is that you always have to go it alone, right? What community resources have you found or utilized that could be beneficial for entrepreneurs? And I would say, Gabriel, you shared PTAC, SBDC. Were there other resources that you wanted to highlight that helped along the way?
I would just suggest joining any sort of industry organizations that are in your area. Like for us, one of the industry organizations is called Fashion Group International, and they have a chapter in Denver, but they are an international organization, and they're for people in the apparel industry. And so that really helped us get connected just with other people that are in the industry, other like-minded individuals, even sometimes, other business contacts, things like that. And then there's another program that I worked with also called SCORE, SCORE, SCORE. Yeah, something not in your head. And it's basically where they connect you with like different mentors in the industry. So they connected me with a guy that was doing apparel distribution for Walmart, which was a really great resource initially when I first started. So that's a really good one. And just like I said, any trade organizations or even like chambers of commerce, those kinds of things, anything that gets you out talking to people. It's a little hard with COVID now, but anything that gets you out, meeting with people, talking about your business, the more you talk about your business, the more you put it out there, the more that's going to come back to you.
I love that. I love that. What about you, Lorena? What other small business resources did you tap along the way, if any?
Yes, I want to tell you that when I was looking for capital for my growth before my investor, I went to several banks and easy to 11 banks to ask for loans, and nobody gave me anything. Until I got to, but the last no that I received gave me a referral of another type of organization that I didn't know that they exist. And this is how I went to Colorado Enterprise Funds, who helped me to get the first loan. So actually my 12th presentation, that was fantastic. I got a loan that was helping me to open my first location. So that was very good. So I really recommend these kind of organizations, like Gabriel mentioned. Colorado Enterprise Funds, Action is another one. They not only support you in the financial side or loans, but also they give you the tools for you to build that kind of binder or document that you need to present in your life. Because now if I need to go for a loan, I will probably need to present that kind of binder with a lot of documentation, and that's your business plan. That is your business plan. So they help you to create your business plan, to create your growth plan, to understand what a debt will means to you, the marketing, how you are going to do things to grab more sales, so you can pay the loan, right? So these organizations are ready to support businesses, small businesses, and it's not only once again, it's not only about the money, it's about all the support that you have around.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. And Diane, you mentioned SistaBiz, but were there any other resources that you wanted to highlight that you think would be important for the group that have helped you along the way?
Yeah, I think the one thing that I really want to highlight, and I don't know that people always understand how important it is, and this is in the realm of a SistaBiz or a business coach who is culturally from is from your community, who looks like you, who understands your struggles and what you've been through. Especially, when you're growing a business, the barriers and the obstacles and the things that we face are going to be so different based on where we come from and how we move in this world. And so having someone who can coach you through your very specific needs, because I have some amazing mentors and coaches white men, white women who are amazing, but they just didn't have that cultural piece, and they didn't understand what it was like to be a Black woman and then had to have a business called Dope Mom Life, and to go in front of people to try to sell my business and grow and all of those things. And so just that cultural understanding that she had in the way she supported me based on us coming from the same background is very important. And then I think, CDFIs are really good. We've mentioned a bunch of them on the call. I say interview your CDFIs as much as they're interviewing you. You want it to be a good relationship, and some of them, have been harmful when I've went in and engaged with some of them. So make sure that you're interviewing them, because this is a relationship. Like you will be in a relationship for X amount of years. So make sure that you have a good relationship with them. Also, like a lot like Gabriel said, join those networking groups, programs. I did leadership programs where people who were my customers were going to be, to build your network and to understand the landscape. And that social capital is really, really important when you're talking about building a business. I think it's social capital.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's even more important than money. One of the other things that I started utilizing recently is like larger organizations that have the services that have like a marketing department. We don't have a marketing department at Dope Mom Life. So you'll see we don't, our social media is a little sad. It's all right. But utilize your resources like that. Find those gaps that you have in your company, and bring people on that are willing to do some pro bono work for you to help you in those areas. That is very important. I'm not great at accounting, and so I found a fractional CFO who would come in and do some pro bono work until we were able to bring on an accountant who happened to actually be her husband. So make sure you're, I say we're not, what is it? Masters of all, jack of all trade, masters of none.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So be the master of your trade, and then find the other people to help you that are masters in theirs.
That's really, really wonderful advice. I think that when people start their businesses, a lot of them start it on their own, right? And so you have to wear so many different hats. And I think one of the things when we're looking at and providing loans and stuff like that is who is tapping their network, and how does that entrepreneur or business owner know what they're good at, right? They're talented and they're skilled at, and then what do they need to outsource accordingly to make it successful? And so I think that's really, really important that you highlighted that. So thank you.
And if I could just add something to that, Marie, just to piggyback on what Diane said, you obviously, like she said, you can't be everything. I felt like a one-man band. You're literally doing everything. I started the company from scratch, just myself. But when I met my business partner, I initially paid him to do some work, strategy work and different things like that, marketing and branding. And I wanted to keep him on, but I couldn't afford to pay him. So I ended up, that's why he's my business partner now, and not just a vendor. So I ended up giving him a percentage of ownership in the company. And sometimes you have to do that. I know a lot of people are hesitant to give up ownership in a company. But I honestly, when you have nothing, it's like a percentage of nothing is still nothing. Now, as we've grown, of course, the things have changed, but the services and just work that he's put in over the last 8 years with us has been invaluable. And I don't think I would be where I'm at if I didn't have him. Because at the time when I started my business, I was working a full-time 40-an-hour-a-week job. And then doing that. So he did a lot of the work. So the point is, don't be afraid if you do need to bring on a business partner, because think about it. And people are hesitant to give up that ownership, but if you don't give it up, you may not ever even grow.
Right.
And so it's probably the smartest investment I ever made. is bringing him on and giving him ownership in the company.
Wonderful. And that's a really nice segue because I want to ask next about what lessons you've learned along the way. Obviously, Gabriel, that's a really big one. Do you have another one that you would like to share?
Just in terms of the products that we produce, again, is just get good at one thing. Don't diversify too early. And so that's kind of where we just hammered down on just underwear. Now we've expanded into some other categories and things like that. But if you expand too early, you may end up diluting your brand, or you may just stretch yourself too thin in terms of financing and getting things produced, and even like search engine optimization. If you want to be found on search engines and things like that, just really focus and get good on one thing. I would say that, and just take everything as a learning experience, essentially. We've had a lot of failures. We still have failures, but it's just about learning from them and just continuing to stay resilient. I can't tell you how many times I really question, should I be doing this still? Why am I doing this? Should I just throw in the towel and go back to corporate? It's just stay the course is one of the best things I can tell people.
Thank you. That's huge. Diane, what about you? What lessons have you learned along the way?
Yeah, I think one of my biggest lessons was how one person does something, or how something has been done historically, does not mean that it serves you or you're going to be good at it that way. And so I'm all about the path of least resistance. Just how can we get here real easy, And sales was one of my biggest things. I hated sales. And you obviously need to sell. And as a CEO, I really need to be out here selling and making sure I'm making the money for my team. But that just sending emails and calling and doing all that, it just does not feel good to me. And so I would find myself my hour that was dedicated to sales would be my hour that was dedicated to IG, Instagram, scrolling. And I would never get any sales done. And so I was like, well, what feels good to me? What works for me? And I know I'm a relationship builder. So how do I make my sales process based off of what feels good and what works for me? And, everybody has their own way of doing things. And some people are going to say she's so wrong, but I'm so right. Oh goodness. I mean, that was all the love and grace, but definitely find what works for you. And don't get pigeonholed based off of what other people say this is how this works.
That's great. I really love that approach because it's really about being authentic, right? And so if you have your own take on tackling a certain function of your business, it's so important to have that personal touch. Lorena, what lessons have you learned along the way?
Coming back to my story is I started the business with $4,000. So I received several approaches in the first few years, and I needed the money. So I remember one person came and said, "Hey, this can be a very good concept. I would love to partner with you." And of course, I get very tempted. I was desperate to make it happen. So my biggest lesson was that understanding when you need to cool off that desperation that you have, because at the same time they are offering you what you are looking for, right? You're looking for money and you need it because you want your baby to grow and you want it in the right way and you know how to do it. So the temptation was right there. And here is when you need to I remember with this person, we grew up, we started going to lawyers, creating the agreement and all that. And we were very, very close. And one day I just saw him and I said, you know what? No, we are not moving forward. And my husband looked at me and said, what? What are you doing? This is what we need. And I said, no, we are not going to. But what happened? I don't know what happened.
Wow.
Something that it was your intuition, what I
Yeah.
call.
Mhm.
And that intuition, you can't leave it on the side. You need to pay attention to that. But more than that, so I think is very important to understand when is a desperation, and then when to apply your intuition into and know how to say no. Because in the way how I did it, I felt that I was in the altar getting married, and
Yeah.
they asked me, will you accept this man for your life? And I said no at that time, and that's what happened. And I'm so glad that happened.
Wow. That's a really nice tie-in, because my next question, it sounds like you avoided it, Lorena, but I was going to ask the group, and so whoever can chime in, were there any times that you wish you hadn't taken on capital? Because Lorena just spoke about she knew before, but were there other times where you guys regretted taking on capital? Diane or Gabriel?
Overall, no. Like,
Great.
taking on capital is like one of the best things that can happen to a business, especially a startup or a small business. So no, but I will say when COVID hit, we were financially strained. And I think at that time, we were already paying back the loan from Colorado Lending. And when COVID hit, we were put in a really difficult situation because we do manufacture overseas in China.
Yeah.
And with all of the shutdowns and the restrictions, it's still crazy right now. But funny, what was interesting is when COVID hit, we were in the process of producing our bag collection. So duffel bags, backpacks, chest pouches, and lo and behold, everyone was locked down. So like nobody was traveling or in need of a bag at all. But the problem is our order was already in process. We had already paid for it. So it was already being produced. When we produce a collection, oftentimes it's a year in the making.
Yeah.
And so it's not just something we could just turn a switch off and like, oh, like forget it right now. So in that instance, it was difficult. But I will say Colorado Lending was really fantastic working with us, as many banks did come and jump in and help people. We were able to defer some payments for our loan for a few months, which really, really helped us out and helped us kind of bridge that gap. And so it definitely helped a lot. And I think that's what lenders like Colorado Lending oftentimes, can do. I don't ever recommend that anybody postpones their payments on any type of loans, but that was just a very unique situation that there was a little bit of like, dang, what do we do now? But we were able to work through it, and they were really great working with us.
I'm so glad that was really helpful, because yeah, it was such a crazy time, and that's what we were able to do during that time for our direct borrowers, because I know SBA has like different products and stuff like that. So I'm so happy that was helpful. We're starting to get close to the end. So what advice do you have for those who might be hesitant about taking on capital, or just even knowing when it's appropriate to do so?
Yeah.
Diane, you want to jump in on that one?
Yeah, I'm going to jump in. I unfortunately have to jump off soon, so I'll touch on this really quick. But it was so good chatting with all of you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for everybody that came.
Yeah, thank you, Diane, for being here.
So real quick, I just want to say that taking on my investors was probably the best thing that I ever did. And one of my investors specifically is he is now my COO. But when you find the right investors that really want to see your business grow, bring bring them on as an investor, because they will provide you the resources and the services that you need in order to grow and scale your business. I am very much a creative, is what I like to say. So I am not an operations person. And my COO is very much an operations person. And we went from getting 5-figure contracts. I went from getting 5-figure contracts on my own to bringing on Mike, and literally like a month later, we got our first 6-figure contract.
Wow.
And I know that was because now we have operations and we have processes and procedures. And so bringing on the right partners will really help your business grow. So do not be afraid to take on investment capital. Just make sure, like Lorena said, that it is the right fit and you use that discernment. But yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Diane. I know you have to run, so thank you so much for your time. We really, really appreciate it.
Bye. Have a great weekend.
Thanks. Take care. Gabriel, what about you? What advice would you give to somebody who might be hesitant about taking on capital or just knowing when?
I would say, as far as like knowing as far as like taking on, I would say do your research. Obviously, that's kind of a no-brainer. But don't reinvent the wheel. So look for companies that are similar to yours, that are in the same industry. I know like one of the models that we really looked at closely was Mack Weldon. They're another underwear brand that got a couple rounds of venture capital funding, very large venture capital funding. So study other companies that are in the same business as you. Like I said, don't reinvent the wheel. And don't be afraid to discuss money matters with other people. I know, especially being from a Latino household, we are very proud and we don't like to ask for help. And so I think I had to swallow a lot of that pride and discuss like, hey, my company needs money. We're broke. We need to figure this out. And so don't be afraid to put that out there, because you never know who might be listening and how they might be able to help you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
And I would like to add what Gabriel said, because that was my advice to all the Latinos that are in the panel, I mean in the group here. Be open, communicate exactly that you are needing. I mean, this is your dream. Your dream is being executed, and you need to make it happen. And it can happen that you need money. I mean, in your life, you need money, like you need love, like you need another kind of things. This is exactly the same. I always say that communicate instead of ask. Sometimes when you ask, it makes you already feel bad, but when you communicate that you need something because you need to grow and you want to put empanadas in all the world, that is good. And show your passion. Your passion always needs to be there, even when you are communicating that you are in need of something. If you need an employee, or if you need money, or if you need an equipment or help for something, always show your passion and communicate it. So that absolutely, I think, is a fantastic tool to go and get it. And honestly, the miracle can be right in front of you.
I love that. Thank you. That's really, really, really good advice from both of you. I think we've got time for one question, and I think something came through the chat. So Amanda, can you ask the panelists?
Yeah, so Jamie came through with a question. She asked if either one of you had taken classes or gone through any programs that were helpful in learning how to build your capital stack, or learning about taking on capital. Lorena, do you want to start with that one?
Yeah, I didn't take any formal classes, but one big suggestion for this is a mentor in business. And a mentor is not a friend, it's somebody that probably had this this entrepreneur perspective, and they pass already for probably what you had. So start building a relationship with a mentor. And that person is going to be any single owner. I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, I can't believe that this is only 1 hour. I would love to tell you everything that I passed, because I don't want you to pass for the same things. I want you to succeed. So everybody will love to share with you the success and the frustrations in the journey. But a mentor, and then is when you get the flavor of a mentor and ask these questions, and is you are going to hear different perspective, and I think those are very good classes.
Thank you. Yeah.
What about you, Gabriel? Did you take any formal classes?
Oh, there we go. I think I lost audio.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, good. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
Sorry, I got thrown off track. What was the?
Have you taken any formal classes about gaining access to capital or?
Yeah, so just to echo what Lorena said is, a mentor, a really good organization, like I said, is SCORE. So SCORE, SCORE, and they can help assign you with a mentor in the industry. And it's free, so there's no cost to it. It's just people that volunteer their time. But I did pay for, so the person that researches our capital and handles our finance is my husband, basically. So he's part of the team. And I did pay for him to go to a class at the Rocky Mountain Venture Club. I believe that there was like a formal like class that he ended up taking that we paid for, and it wasn't really that expensive, but it did help open our eyes to really what could be out there. So that might be one that I would suggest you take a look at, is Rocky Mountain Venture Club.
Wonderful, thank you. Amanda, are there any other questions in the chat? Otherwise I can.
Yeah, we don't have any other questions coming through, but we can certainly drop contact info in the chat so that if anyone does have follow-up questions, we can get you in touch with the panelists.
Yes, perfect. So thank you all again for joining us. We hope this has been really helpful. We've heard a lot of different lessons from our panelists that they've learned along the way, and we hope that you learned a lot from hearing those experiences and that it can help inform yours. And so I think I just want to close by really just highlighting that everybody struggles when they're starting and growing their business. And so it's hard to know when to take on the right capital, when and with who, right? So I think today's biggest takeaway is that you don't really have to go it alone. There's so many resources out there, mentors, groups, lenders, angel investors. And once you get it out there, just to talk more about what Gabriel said, you can see who's going to be in that network that will be able to help you. And there's a huge network of small business resources that want to help. So reach out and you'll be surprised on who steps up to help you along the way. So if you have any questions for me, like Amanda said, I'm going to drop my LinkedIn and email into the chat box. But thank you again to your panelists for dedicating your time to this panel and Denver Startup Week. And to the audience, thank you so much for tuning in today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Joining.
Yes.
Have a good day.